motivation. Jonas Andrew-Phillip helps me avoid desperation. Let's talk facts to rebuild a nation, to make us strong. Enhance a bond full of brothers and sisters. Tell the future we can build whatever we wish to. Put your mind on the map, eyes on the prize. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.
Kings and queens, it's been way too long, and I could come on here and apologize to you guys, but my boy Alpha said you don't need to apologize, Jonas, just get into it and you bring us the podcast. So Kings and queens, welcome to the 12th episode of the Let's Talk Facts podcast. This is the first interview in over a year. I got my apprenticeship done, I've got everything out the way, and now I'm fully yours. So we're ready to bring you the best entrepreneurs, best young people, and best professionals out there to give you their inside professional. And today, to start off, I think people could say, Jonas, you're starting off a bit too strong for your first episode, because we have a speaker, high performance coach, and author on the first episode back. Would you like to introduce yourself for me, please?
Thank you for that introduction, Jonas. And I just want to say congratulations on completing your apprenticeship as well. It's not easy, especially during the lockdown. But for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Michael Tabirade, high performance coach and mentor. And I help self-starters and ambitious professionals increase their productivity, enhance their performance, realize their priorities, and live their life on purpose. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. Amazing, Michael. And I'm actually going to say this because I remember when I actually met Michael, this was at the 100 Black Men of London graduation in 2019. And this is when I actually started public speaking. So I remember Michael came up to me and we were talking. No, I think I came up to, what was it? I came up to you.
You came to me, but you're taller than me. So we can argue that.
Yeah. So I came to Michael and I was like, I was just in awe for what he was talking about when he was being interviewed. And he actually told me, you're doing all this public speaking, why aren't you putting it on social media? And he was the first one to tell me that. And then I was there and I was like, I don't want people to see it. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So thank you for being the first one to tell me to do that, man. Honestly.
No worries, man. No worries. It's all love, man. It's all love.
Yeah. And the first question I had for you is, what was it that made you want to pursue the career that you are currently in?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I originally thought I wanted to be a doctor back in, I don't even know the date, but I was 14 years old. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I thought it paid good money, it's great prestige, I was working with people, and I could sort of utilize my love for science. And then obviously, did my A-levels and everything else, didn't quite get the grades. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna try at university. Now, I could have transferred to do medicine in my first year, but then I was like, you know what? I want to have fun at uni, man. I want to network. I want to make money. Obviously want to do well. I'm just going to sort of like slow it down a little bit. So it got to my third year and I decided, do I still want to do this medicine thing? And so I thought, I'm going to take this exam called the GAMSAT, a 6-hour exam. Took it about 5 times over the course of like 4 to 5 years. And it just took over my life. Now, as I was doing that, I had this vision to basically have managerial experience within the NHS, but also have that clinical experience as well, because I wanted to stand out. That's what I wanted to do. I realized there was a gap with the fact that people weren't able to communicate effectively between management and clinical. But then after those 5 years or so, it just got to a point where it's like, do I want to keep on doing this? I was so convicted that I wanted to do medicine, but it's like gradually I started to be interested in other things. And in the same instance, I wasn't being interested in this whole medical sort of sphere. And so it was when I got a sort of like a professional sort of role within the NHS as a change manager and project manager at the age of 22, 23, I believe. I think it's 23, just turned 23. And that opened my mind because I was talking to people who were of a senior caliber. So there was this one girl called Monique, great like lady, because I worked with her before. She was like, have you heard of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, nope. So she told me about it, copped the book straight away, took me 2 days to read, came back on a Monday, and I was like, that book was amazing. And she was like, you've read it already? And I was like, yeah, I'm hungry. What, are you mad? let's do this sort of thing. And so from then on, it spiraled down this whole sort of like journey of trying things around property, trading, public speaking, all of this different stuff. But then it got to a point, and I'm coming to a point here, it got to a point where those different vehicles and business models weren't enough for me, because I know I wanted to do something that aligned with my sense of purpose. And so it was only at this Andy Harrington event, Public Speakers University, where this guy was like, you know, you can make money from your ideas. I don't know why, but in that moment, that blew my mind. I was like, I can make money from my ideas. It was also supported by something that Les Brown said to me. So I paid for a VIP ticket in London, didn't know what I was going to ask him, but I asked him some random question and he said to me, do you know what, Mike? You've got a great speaking voice. You should definitely use it. So that spiraled all this stuff in terms of YouTube, the coaching, the mentoring, the speaking, because I started to post stuff online and people started to come, you know, into my DMs asking for coaching or mentoring or whatever it may be. And so we're here today, we're running a coaching business and a mentoring business. You know, I provide public speaking services, not only for organizations, but for brands as well. And I'm slowly developing into something where I'm creating online services such as courses, et cetera, to help the people understand that they're more than their situation, to give them the practical sort of methodologies and tools and everything else so that they can actually achieve the successes that they want to achieve. So yeah, that's basically the background, man.
Amazing, Michael. And there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on there, because as you were saying that, I have a really close friend of mine. He was in the upper year to me in school. The moment I just said that, he knows I'm talking about him. But at this point right now, he's in a situation where he's lost his job due to COVID, and he's really been stressed out about it because financial reasons and stuff like that. He's in uni, he's thinking about drop shipping, he's thinking about starting various different businesses, but he knows he wants to be an entrepreneur and do it with what he loves. So he's thinking about so many different things to do, and he's humble because he's like going for job interviews where some people would say, I wouldn't want to work there, but he's like, I don't care, I'm hungry, I just want that I just want the money. And he was in a really similar situation to you, and he's read the Rich Dad Poor Dad actually. And the fact that hearing that, I'm not gonna lie, it takes me long to read books, very long to read books. You read that in 2 days. That's the hunger I'm talking about. And I know my friend has that hunger, just like you. He has that hunger. And he needs to understand, as you said, he is more than his situation. He will get out of that situation, and soon he will be making so much money, so much impact. He's going to help his family get out of the situation, whatever situation they're in, put them in a better situation if they're already in a good situation. And it's going to be great for him. And the thing I respect about him is the fact that he is going for something he loves. And as you mentioned earlier, you were looking at being a doctor because of the money and prestige. And that's not just you, that's so many people. So my question to you, Michael, my second question is, why do people chase not only money, but prestige when they're looking for jobs and careers?
It's simple. People want to be loved. People want to be appreciated. People want to be recognized. And so anything that they think that can satisfy that, they will take on board. The problem people have is that they're not educated, and it's not always their fault. You know, I mean, usually after the age of 25, usually at least, we need to be in a position where we are shocked. We need to go through some sort of adversity before we relearn and recondition how we do things. But if you're a man or woman of self-growth or personal development, you're putting yourself in a position where you're always learning, and you understand that life is as fair as it's going to get. You're dealt a certain hand. And so you, as the player of those cards, need to determine how you're going to play the game in life. But if you don't understand you're the player, then you will never be able to sort of like change the deck or whatever it may be. And so people are chasing this. Like, how the hell did I know that medicine was going to give me prestige, money, this, that, X, Y? I was only 14. I haven't lived life. And so I needed to experience life and make tough decisions that seemed tough, at least, to then say, actually, no, what really aligns with me? What aligns with me? That comes down to looking back at your life and understanding, okay, what are my preferences? What do I like? What don't I like? What am I willing to compromise in pursuit of the purpose or the goal? That comes down to how you feel in different situations. Now, feeling can't always take over, because if you're always leaning into your feelings, you're going to end up dumb, homeless, and poor. You know, there has to be some level of rational thinking as well. But you have to understand what aligns to you as an individual. And that really comes down to acknowledging your values first. I always talk about values, you know, I talk about values all the time. Acknowledging your values first, and then deciding, do those values serve you in your pursuit towards success? And if not, you change those values into principles. Slightly different. Values are what you develop, I don't want to say innately, but through your experiences, and they feel hardwired into your decision-making process. Principles are guiding. They basically say, based on this goal, I need to be this way. And sometimes your values don't serve you in order for you to do that. So you have to see what works. So to answer your question, people chase that stuff because they're misguided and miseducated. And they need to realign themselves and recondition themselves and re-educate themselves in order for them to see clearly and make intelligent decisions. And I say intelligent because intelligence is defined based on being able to infer and understand things based on your environment and making a decision in a line to a goal. Technical language there, but I had to say it like that because that's what it is. So I need to say what it is. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully that answers the question and you understood what I said.
That's the thing. You gotta keep it real sometimes, and you gotta say it how it is and say it in your way, so people really understand that not only personal development and growth works and it actually does make you more intelligent, but you just need to keep it real in life, because like, it's what Michael, obviously. Michael always used to tell me,
yeah,
life doesn't sugarcoat things, Jonas. Why should I sugarcoat it for you? Why if I want you to be great, Jonas, why would I sugarcoat that for you? I gotta be hard on you now, because when you get punched in the face in the future, because you've been punched in the face by stuff when you were younger, yes, but that's nothing like stuff in business in the future that you're gonna face.
It's true.
So,
he's right.
Yeah, that childhood was tough for you, but that doesn't matter, because guess what? When you get to in business, nobody cares what it was like. And that's why we need to be real with not only ourselves, but people too. And I think this is something that really makes people stay in a position where they don't want to grow and they don't believe in themselves. So what is it that separates the average people in life from the legends in life?
Yeah, for me, it's values, man. I mean, they believe they are, I'm going to say I was going to swear, then I realized we're on a podcast here. But they believe they're the one in it. They believe they're the one. And they understand that they need to stay in their lane. Nobody is like them. Nobody will ever be like them. And it's never going to be that way. Simple. And so when you have that innate belief, then that says something about you having specific values. You stick to them. You don't deviate. In psychology, it's very clear that those people who are resilient and able to withstand hard times have very specific values. And those values allow them to stay grounded because that's what they believe. So they're not looking to nudge. And so if you believe that something is hard, or if you believe that, you're in a position to not create or make an impact, then that's exactly what it is. It is what it is. In the same instance, if you believe that you can make an impact, and if you believe that you're going to achieve a specific thing, you're going to do that because of the law of intelligent consistency. That's just going to happen by virtue of your nature. So for me, it stems down to the values that individuals keep. And most people don't know what their values are, but the way you work that out is like what I said before. You look back at your life, you look at your hallmark experiences, and then you say, what has life taught me so far? What does this mean for me? And what does it mean for me now? It's that simple. So for me, I could have said to you, hard work, planning. I can go down that sort of list if you want me to, but I think it's quite simple. Just know who you are, because there is not a complete right or wrong way to do things. Only thinking makes it so.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because I I think that's the thing I did when I started taking my career more seriously in 2018, summer after secondary school. I look back at my experience in secondary school, and obviously in the previous episode, I explained it a bit, but obviously I didn't go into detail. But there are people like my boy Alpha, my boy Carl, my boy George. They were in my secondary school, some of them not in my year, but they legit would say, no, Jonas, you used to get shagged in school. I could tell you used to get shagged. I can tell they saw you as the easy target. I'm like, it's cool, it's cool. It's cool. They can see me as the easy target all they like, because that's temporary. That's temporary. Stuff like that teaches me values. And I'm not going to call anyone out right now, but let's look at the pandemic, for example. We've been here for what, 12 months now. I haven't broke lockdown once. I haven't broke a restriction once because of my values, because I was known as that kid that would break the rules when he was younger, even though I didn't. I was seen as that kid. I was seen as the kid that would end up dead or in jail. So now I won't do anything for people to talk. I will stick to that set. Other people may not follow the rules. Other people may not follow the rules, but does that mean I have to not? My integrity is different. And this is what I said to someone yesterday. Someone said to me, why don't you go out with a friend? I was like, the rules say if they're not in your support bubble, you can't do it. So guess what? I'm not going to do it. Other people can go and do it. I've seen people that clearly don't live together, multiple people together. Obviously, I can't make an assumption, but I've seen it loads of times. So it's bound that at least one of the groups I've seen, don't live together. I've seen them, loads of people break lockdown. I've seen people have block parties and New Year's parties. Does that mean I have to go? No, it doesn't. Those are my values. And that's because I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, how can I rebuild myself after the situation I was in? And some people, and this is mad because it seems like the people that had it tough when they were young end up being the strong-willed the people that had it easy, they're the ones that suffer more from self-doubt and stuff like that. So what I wanted to ask you is, in terms of self-identity now, because that's another thing that they struggle with, how can someone that's had an easy life, hasn't really had any challenges, have had stuff put on a plate for them, some of them haven't, but they just had it easy because of certain situations and the way that they are, the way that they look, stuff like that, how can they have that self-identity so that they can then analyze and understand what their values truly are?
Yeah, you have to have experiences. You have to. I mean, it's quite difficult during lockdown, but if you don't have experiences, you don't have anything to reference or reflect on. So the more experiences that you have as an individual, the more likely you are to identify with certain preferences that you have, i.e. things you like and you don't like. So for example, experiences could be as simple as having a hobby, having a group activity, going on holiday or traveling, building something, starting a business. All these different things enable you to test your character, because remember what I said about that feeling. You will start to get a feeling that basically says, I don't like this, or I freaking love this. And so the more of those moments you have, the more you identify with these different identities, so to speak. And in psychology, they call this sub-personalities. We all have different sub-personalities that we have, some that are more core to us and others that aren't necessarily as core to us. And so we need to be able to know how to lean into those sub-personalities when times get tough or when times get easy. So for those individuals who haven't had life experiences, well, that's the answer. You need to get life experiences, because that's what separates those people who have grown up in a gutter or in poverty or whatever it may be, relative to those who've had it to them handed in a plate. They need to suffer. Life is suffering. We have to accept that. Life is suffering. And so when you acknowledge that, or when you experience that, then you push yourself into a state of development. You push yourself into a state of improvement, because you can now do things for yourself. And so and if you have friends, or if they have friends or family members around them that recognizes that they haven't experienced life, they need to encourage, push, even force sometimes those individuals to experience those things. Because otherwise, what will happen is when they're by themselves, they will end up dead. Whether that means in a literal sense or a spiritual sense, or it doesn't really matter. They won't be able to fend for themselves, but it may be the best decision that they've ever made, because at the end of the day, they would be able to reinvent themselves and survive in those dire situations. So it's experience. Experience is the mother of all teaching.
Exactly. And I want to talk about something that you just said about survival and suffering right there. I want to talk about somebody who grew up in quite a tough background, a rapper called Jay-Z. Obviously, everyone knows Jay-Z.
Yeah.
The notorious Marcy Projects.
Hmm.
American hoods are different to UK hoods.
Come on.
They're crazy. Honestly, we should be grateful that we don't have it easy, but we have it easier to then. Because I know of a lot of Americans who have had their friends shot, so many people that they know shot, that when it gets to a point where they're older and someone else they know gets shot, it's just like, oh, okay, it's normal. And it's not, people would think, oh, they're ignorant, they don't care, they're arrogant. No, it's just because they've seen it so much that all of that life's been sucked out of them. So I haven't heard Jay-Z talk about this, but maybe he did go through stuff like that. But what did Jay-Z do to survive? I don't condone this. He sold crack. You can make stupid money from crack, but we don't want to do that. So what did he do instead? He started doing music. He sold Reasonable Doubt, his first album, out of a truck outside of his projects. Then he started a clothing brand, before that was Rockefeller Records. Then they did Rockaware. And then I don't mean to get started because he's a billionaire now, but because of his mentality and experiences, he was able to build an empire. He was able to have a beautiful woman who also is a multimillionaire too. And man, them out there, do not lie to me. You would kill to have a girl like Beyonce. So don't even lie to me. I've heard you. Look, exactly. Yeah. And he has that. He has everything he wants in life, but he went through the hard times. And he probably knows his values. So that's the thing in life. That's the thing about life. He suffered. Everyone's got to suffer. Life's not linear. Like earlier today, like an hour and a half ago, I got bad news. But am I going to bring that to the podcast? No. I saw it. I was like, okay, cool, fine. Okay, cool. 30 seconds later, okay, fine, it's over. Let's get to the nitty gritty now, because time waits for no man. I've got no time to be crying and upset about something. Yes, it's hard. Everyone's going to suffer. You're going to suffer like weekly, monthly, maybe even daily. But once you have that experience and it happens to you, you'll say, okay, cool. At first, it'll be tough. So you might be down in the dumps for a bit. But after a while, you say to yourself, okay, cool. Time to pick myself up right now. Cool. Okay. I like the challenge. That's what you got to say to yourself. But yeah, Michael, the first segment. This is a new segment. So you are the first ever person to do the new segment. And it's called True or False and Why. So I'm going to give you a statement. And you need to tell me if you think and this is your opinion. It's not a quiz, it's your opinion. So if you think it's true, you'll say true and why. And if you think it's false, you say false and tell us why. Is that clear?
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
All right. So the first one I'm going to give you is, and we kind of spoke about this a bit as well, I brought it up. Self-doubt is a hallucination. True or false, and why?
Hallucination. If it was a different words, I would have said true. I think it is true. And I say this because I don't think hallucination is the right word, but I say it's true because self-doubt is a real thing, but it's still part of your imagination. It's still part of the faculties of how your mind is playing tricks on you, really. I mean, if you know the doubts, if you know the facts and everything else, you probably overcome that self-doubt. So yeah, I'm going to stick with true, with a caveat.
Yeah. Next one. As humans, our potential is predetermined.
That's a deep question. False. It's not. It's not. I mean, you know, there may be religious individuals who be like, well, what is written is written. I get that. So from that argument, yeah, it is true, because you don't know what you don't know. It's almost like the Matrix argument, you know. But from a self-determination standpoint, you write your own destiny. And so if you believe that your environment determines what your potential is, then you're in trouble. You're always going to be in a ditch. And so for the sake of motivation and personal development, I say that is a false statement.
Cool. And the last one for you is, Reading every day is a necessity. True or false, and why?
False. You don't need to read every day. It's important. Don't get me wrong. This coming from a guy who's read like 300 plus books. It's important, but you've got to do as well. I mean, don't misalign your sort of like mind and not take action. You need to take action. I think if anything, that is the best thing you should do because you learn from it. But guys and girls, read is important.
What would you say your top three? I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but what would you say your top three favorite books are?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say three is very short, but there is the Four Agreements. There's the Four Agreements. That's a fantastic book. There's another book called Conversations with God. That may be a bit too weird and deep for people, but whatever. I like that book. And I would say the last one, Think and Grow Rich, because the first time I read it, it was just amazing. It just blew my mind. So I would go as far to say the Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, the audio version. It's like 49 hours long. It's crazy.
49.
That was a deep book. Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Napoleon Hill books legit aren't for anyone, is it? They're not for everyone. They're crazy.
Nah, they're not.
They're deep. Yeah, I've got Think and Grow Rich on my shelf actually, and I've had it for a while, but I'm waiting for the perfect time. No, not perfect. That's the wrong word. I'm waiting for the right time to read it because I need to be properly focused and in a habit to read it because I've already had reviews from people saying it's a tough book, Jonas. Sometimes you have to read the pages twice before you go over to the next one. So I said to myself, I'm not gonna read it now. When I'm fully in motion, so like summertime, I'll read it because my habits will be down, everything will be sorted out. But now I was like, will you get the best out of the book now, Jonas? No, you won't. So I just said to myself, you know what?
I mean, in the same token, I'll ask you this question. How do you get motivated? How does one get motivated?
How do I get motivated? Usually I'm just generally motivated. That's the thing.
You're just on Jesus juice all day.
That's the thing. No, I don't know. I think I'm always motivated, but stuff can get me more motivated. Like when someone says, "Oh, you can't do that," then I'll be like, "Oh, is it interesting? Okay, you don't think I can do that? Okay, watch me do it." That's kind of stuff that gets so excited. You know the love languages. Mine's a word of affirmations, especially in a negative context. Because when I was younger, I got that a lot. So then I just said to myself, "How am I going to tweak it?" Because I can't control what they say to me. What I can control is my actions. So now I'll be like, "Okay, cool. You don't think I'm gonna pass my GCSEs? Okay, watch me." That's something that got me motivated.
So that says a lot based on, and this is like mini coaching here, but it's like, that says a lot to me. You're not always going to have people around you who's going to tell you to read Think and Grow Rich as an example, but it sounds like there, and this is for anyone, there needs to be some internal talk for you to take action because generally speaking, you get more motivated when you take action. That's the trick. Mike wasn't lying when they said just do it. And so with that in mind, the more action you take, the more results you get, the more embedded beliefs you get, and the more you raise your potential. And it becomes a success cycle, as they call it. Yeah. And so this is all to say, yeah, you could do it then, but you could also do it now as well. Because you eventually get into a state of, actually, this is not too bad. You get over that hill. Do you know what I mean? You're training your mind to say, actually, I don't need to be in a comfortable position. I'm just going to do it now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because instead I've been reading good books like The One Thing and stuff like that. Ego's the
Great
Enemy.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. I definitely should just say, you know what? Let me just do it. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Cool. So my fourth question for you, Michael, is, because this right here, personal development is just a game changer, honestly. So how and when did you begin your personal development journey?
Oh, it's a good question. So I would say I started my personal development journey back in 2011. I'm going to say 10/11. So I would have been, what, maybe 19, 20? Between 19 and 20. I was in my second year. And I mean, I was always quite a deep brother. I mean, it wasn't always about personal development. For me, it was more about the world, society, even conspiracies, religion, philosophy. I was very deep in that way. But personal development came into play when I read my first book. I wanted to find it, but basically it is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I've read this about 4 or 5 times. And it started because my manager at the time in the NHS was like, "You're a smart guy, Mike. What book are you reading?" And I said, "I don't read." She was like, "You don't read?" I was like, "Nope, don't see the point." And she was like, "You should read." I was like, "Why?" Because you never know what you could learn. And so this is at the time I was watching Will Smith's Words of Wisdom on YouTube. And he mentioned the book, The Alchemist. And so I bought the book, started reading it. I'm not going to lie, it was hard to read at the beginning because I didn't read. But as I got into it and I said to myself, this is not a race, I realized that this guy was saying some stuff that I thought only I knew, or I never knew at all. And so I was like, imagine if I could read other books that could spread or share information like this. Like, it's powerful. Do you know what I mean? They say knowledge is power, even though I think that statement is partly true. And so that started my journey. Then I started looking into psychology, the coaching world, the mentoring world, systems thinking, spiritualism, looked into personality, loads of different stuff. And I just got obsessed. I just want to know as much as possible in this space. So yeah, 2011/10 was the time.
Cool. And you know what? I was similar to you. When I was 17, that's when I started for myself. That's when I started when I was 17. And it was actually because you yet again were posting stuff on your Insta story. And I was like, whoa, where do you find more of these? You remember that? I was like, where do you find more of these pages?
Yes,
yes. And then you said, oh, there's a couple here, there's a couple there. So I followed those. And then I was like, let me look for more. So I looked for loads more. And then it was just coming on my timeline. I was just getting so much wealth of knowledge from it. And it kept saying stuff like read and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, like I was year 12. So I just came out of secondary school. And you know what books you read in secondary school? I was like, read?
Yeah.
That's a bit long, isn't it? That's a bit long. I was like,
Mm.
nah, I'm not reading. But then I read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Come on. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, cool. That was pretty good, you know? So then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And once you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, there's no going back. There's no
exactly.
going back. I read that.
Yep.
It was game. I was like, okay, cool. Then I read, obviously, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it was like, I'm up one now. That's how it happened. But why do you think that people, well, young people, okay, this could be young people and adults, do you think people are reluctant to read because of the books that we are forced to read while we're in the education system?
No, I don't even think it's that. I think people don't read because there's easier things to do. I mean, why would you read when you can go on Instagram or TikTok or listen to something on Clubhouse? It's easier. You don't have to think about it. But people forget that those individuals who are on Instagram, Clubhouse, all these different things here, they read. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but they are educated in something. That's what makes them stand out. That's what makes someone a strong personal brand. I think it was Getz the other day in one of his tunes was saying, "Would you know about 48 Laws of Power?" And in a way, I laughed in it because I was like, I've read this book time ago, but in the same instance, there are many people who haven't read books like that. And it kind of like makes me question, like, there is a whole generation of people who don't know about certain concepts and ideas that may make them even more effective. I mean, again, using him as an example, 48 Laws of Power. For many people within our community, that book is dangerous if you really understand the concepts. And so for someone like me, I read these things so I could break it down to people so they can use it in their everyday life. That's what makes me valuable. And so there is power in reading. But again, like I said, if you don't have to think, if you don't have to read, people are not going to do it. You even see it in corporate Britain right now, or corporate America. People don't like to read stuff when it comes down to policy and strategy. And then they come to you with dumb questions, not understanding what to do because they don't like to read. Do you understand? So people do what's easy. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. People are not trained and conditioned to do what's necessary. There's a difference.
I think what you just said there, I think it's definitely going to switch the paradigm for a lot of people, because I'm going to be real. Up until you just said what you just said there, I was one of the people that generally believed that the school system was the reason that I didn't like reading books, because we had to read books that, for the majority of them, I didn't enjoy. There were some I enjoyed, but the majority of them I didn't enjoy, other than about 2. So I thought that's why I don't want to read. But when you think about it, and not only what you just said, but the fact that it's different genres now. We're not reading 1700, 1800 books. We're reading personal development books that have been released within the last 100 years. That's what we're reading. Yes, Think and Grow Rich, I think, came out in was it 30s or 20s it came out? I can't remember, but it came out around that time. But it's still relevant today. So why not read it? Why not invest your time instead of spending your time? Why not invest it? Because TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that, it can be invested, but people choose to spend it. People choose to be consumers rather than producers. But these people that you're liking their content and sharing their birthdays and stuff like that, but you're not sharing your own friends' businesses and birthdays and promoting things in the community that need changing, you're putting money in their pocket. But really, our community and stuff like that are dying. Not only the Black community, but with climate change and poverty, homelessness, stuff like that. They're not sharing that, but they're sharing stuff like that. Invest your time. Invest it. Read your books. Do the good stuff on social media, because everyone's quick to say that social media is toxic, but it's kind of it's in my opinion, you may disagree, but the ball's in your court, whether it's toxic or not. You can choose, because I don't find it toxic personally, but the only thing on my social media that makes it toxic is when Arsenal lose and it comes through saying Arsenal lose again.
I hear you.
That's the only
I mean, it comes down to a bad workman always, blames his tools. So, I mean, Instagram and others have been designed in such a way where it grabs your attention. And if you fall into that trap, you fall into that trap. If you don't, you don't. That's just how the cookie crumbles at the end of the day. And like you quite rightly said, you got producers and consumers. You can either utilize this stuff for, I mean, it's okay to relax and get entertainment from it. I don't think that's a problem at all. But everything has its limits. Everything has its limits. There is an addictive sort of like effect that happens when you're consistently on social media. And so if you don't want to be mind controlled, because literally that's what it is at the end of the day. If you don't want to be mind controlled, to consistently be on your phone, then you need to put things in place to minimize that. And that's one thing I'm worried about for Gen Z. They may get so consumed into this stuff that they lose themselves, But in the same instance, they may be so hungry because of what they see that they make huge successes. Depends on who you are and how you think.
Yeah, that's true, because I'm not sending any shots at anybody, but there are some people that I know that they see stuff on social media, like they see models and stuff, and they get downhearted and depressed and stuff because they're seeing models and they're saying to themselves, why can't I be pretty as that person? And I'm like, wow, like this is just proof that not only we need limits in life, but we need to discipline our thoughts.
Of course.
Because who told you to have that thought? Nobody. But in your subconscious mind, that thought came up. And we can't control what's in our subconscious mind. So nobody can blame you for having that thought. You can't even blame yourself. So don't get down in the dumps and stuff about it. But we really need to have limits on what we follow, because we choose what to follow. Like if you don't want something to come up on your timeline, other than whether it's a paid ad, and those paid ads come from algorithms of things you've been on in the past, you just need to ensure that you're being fed the right things and you're going to the right stores. By stores, I mean obviously social media pages, because people don't like Morrison's. You're not going to go Morrison's. You'll go Iceland or Sainsbury's. That's what you got to do.
It's true. I mean, just to add to that very quickly as well, I mean, that individual or an individual like that who, you know, gets down and depressed by certain sort of like pictures and stuff, they need to be able to understand what triggers that response. Most of those women don't look like that. They just don't. They've just captured a great angle with great lighting, and they got, you know, body hugging sort of like attire that makes them look sexy or attractive or whatever it is. But they're not like that on a 24/7. They've probably got stretch marks. They've probably got bad sideburns. They've probably got, you know, some little mustache on there, but just below their nose. You never know. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, they're doing it for the gram. And so if they're doing it for the gram, that's not reality. And so that knowledge is really important to help you stay grounded. It comes back to those values, because you'll start making behavioral changes based on recognizing those cues. And like you said, you know, not following those pages, or not going on Instagram as much, or putting a timer on your Instagram, or removing it completely. You know, there are options in it. So definitely co-sign what you said.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And the fifth question I have for you, Mike, is because people have heard of leadership and they've heard of the word authentic, but they haven't heard it put together. So when you came to me with this term, I was thinking, yeah, Mike's going to bring some game with this. Definitely. You already have heard it. So what is authentic leadership?
Yeah. I guess authentic leadership is being able to sincerely and genuinely lead by example. That's what it is. It's being able to communicate with a certain level of emotional intelligence and empathy. It's being in a position where you can orchestrate people to be their best, but without compromising your quality and character. That's what authentic leadership is. And so people are yearning and striving to find people who give them the raw truth, who are themselves, but are able to relate to that individual as well. That's what authentic leadership effectively is being yourself in order to bring the best out of others through sort of like influence, through orchestrating things, through leading by example, through knowing how to innovate, knowing how to manage, I'm going to say manage a team effectively, through knowing how to speak to someone like they're the only person in the room. It's having coach-like tendencies as well, deep listening, powerful questions, enabling that individual, understanding body language so you know how to respond, following up and seeing how they are based on the previous conversation that you've had. All of these different things are important when it comes down to authentic leadership.
Definitely. And that stuff's some tough stuff, you know. That's some, especially stuff like reading the body language and knowing how to respond. Also, there's stuff like, well, you also mentioned how, I forgot. Oh yeah, ensuring that you're making it seem like you're talking to somebody one-to-one as well. That's definitely stuff that I'm gonna say up front. Like I'm not afraid of saying this stuff online and saying it on podcasts and stuff for people to hear it. That's stuff that I struggle with, because everyone seems to think I'm some perfect person. I'm far from perfect. So when as I'm a young person, and a lot of people follow me are young people and they want to run their businesses, I think personally authentic leadership is the way to go. So what can young people do to become authentic leaders?
Can I swear on here? You know what? I won't swear. I won't swear. But just stop the crap. Stop the BS. Seriously, stop that. I mean, it's about brutal honesty at the end of the day. You need to be brutally honest to yourself first, every single day. I mean, really, it comes down to, what did I lie about today? And how can I prevent that from happening in the future? How can I be honest to myself? Because if you're not honest to yourself, people will start to read that. When you look at how relationships develop here, relationships are developed through building trust and building rapport, okay? Now, trust is developed by allowing the other person to have a certain level of what's called psychological safety. In other words, you make people safe to be vulnerable, to open up, to say what they need to say. Once that happens, people are more likely to say things to you that they've never said to you before because there is a level of trust. So if that is the case, and you understand that's how you win people over, you know you can't lie to yourself. David Goggin calls it looking in front of the accountability mirror and just being brutally honest with yourself. So for young people out there, if your friends are saying, you should do this, or you should do that, why don't you come here, blah, blah, blah. You need to ask yourself, do you really want to do that? And if so, are you willing to tell them no? Don't give in. That's what I meant about values back in the day. It comes down to be brutally honest to yourself first and foremost, because then that will decide how you walk your walk and how you become an authentic leader as well. So it comes down to honesty.
Exactly. And why do you think that people in general find it so hard to be honest with themselves?
So the reason why people feel like they can't be honest to themselves is because they don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to do the hard work. I mean, at the end of the day, if they can avoid it and do something else that makes them feel good, they'll do that. I mean, as has been said many times before, I think it was in the book, The Compound Effect, we live in minute rice society. You know, people want their rice done in 30 seconds, not in a minute. And so with that mentality, if I can push things aside and just stay in my lane here and think what I want to think temporarily, I will create that environment and that reality. But if it's a case where I have to work hard and work on myself, that's long. That's all you hear all day. Oh, that's long, man. I can't bother. I can't be bothered to do that. But that stuff is what makes you attract the right people. That stuff is what makes you money. That stuff is what makes you valuable to the marketplace, being honest to yourself. So people don't do that because they can't be bothered to do the hard work because it hurts in that moment. And this is why having a coach or a mentor or having people around you encourage you out of that stuff is fundamentally important for your success and growth as a person, because they can tell you things that you can't be bothered and not willing to tell yourself. They can tell you things that you may have never heard before, you know? So those are my thoughts on that, at least anyway.
Definitely. And just to add to that also, I think a thing also is that as obviously I'm 19, as you know, so I'm still a teenager. I'm just about getting towards the end, slowly but surely. I have a lot of friends, obviously, that are teenagers. And something I hear all the time, and it actually grinds my gears. But when I was younger, I can't say I didn't say this. Because I may have said it, I may have not said it. I can't remember. Something's telling me that I did, maybe once. But I always hear there's not enough opportunities for young people. And with what I know now, what I knew when I was 17, obviously when I started this, I know that's a bunch of baloney. I see more opportunities for young people than anybody else. And this is what I was talking to somebody about the other day. I said to them, it's just because they can't be bothered to look for it. They want someone they want a waiter to come down the aisle, get a whole, you know, when they get that table out and they put the food down and they slide it on the table. That's what they want. They want it just spoon fed to them. But the people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and all these people like Chunks, let me relate it to you guys. Chunks, Philly. What do you think they did? They went out and went to go get it. They went out. Philly said in the video he used to live on top of Morley's. That's what he said. He used to live on top of Morley's. But now he lives in a nice apartment. He's got his family out of his area. So they went out and went to go get it. There's no, like, you can't tell me there's no correlation for Chunks getting all these opportunities now. He was hosting the Mogos. This guy was Asney in Big Shots video 4 years ago. Nobody expected this blow up. I remember I started watching KSI in 2000. People think I'm lying. When I was in year 4, I was watching KSI.
I was watching that, brother, too. Back at uni. Yeah, when I first started. Yeah.
Exactly. I did not I was young. But to see where he is now, I was like, what?
Yeah, I know.
He went and grabbed those opportunities for himself. So this is what I have to say to people my age. I'm not patronizing you. I'm not above you in any way. We're on the same level. We need to respect each other because I respect you guys a lot. Please if you want something, stop the talk, because a lot of you just talk. And when I hear you guys talk, I'm expecting, okay, cool, I'm going to see what they got today. And hopefully I'm going to be blown away. I genuinely think I'm going to be blown away. And I get disappointed. And I'm like, this is why you don't talk. This is why I don't talk. I just sit there. And then when you see what I bring to the table, you can decide whether I'm overrated or not. But in my mind, I know I'm not overrated. But that's why I don't talk. So please stop the talk. Talk is cheap, guys. Talk is cheap. Please just take action. Do the hard stuff. Work hard, work smart, do what you got to do. And then you'll have whatever you want in life, and you won't have to do fraud or drugs or anything like that, because that's another thing. And also that debt from uni as well. I'm seeing all of you, man, that went to my sixth form where you're designer clothes. It's not your money. I know it's not your money. Stop flexing it, acting like it's your money, because you're going to have to pay that back soon. And you're spending it on things. And I can't say I didn't buy designer stuff when I first got my job, because I did. But I knew the limit. I'm seeing from you guys there's no limit, and I love you guys, so I'm just going to tell you up front, please, if you're watching, you're probably not, but if you are, please, I don't want you guys to be in debt. Bad debt. There's good debt and bad debt. I don't want you in bad debt, especially deep. So yeah, cool. Cool. All right, thank you, Michael.
No worries, man. Now, proper went in.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this stuff because everyone wants to make excuses, bro. Everyone wants to make excuses, and I can't say I'm a fairy and I don't make excuses. Of course, I'm still getting out of my bad habits, because I'm used to getting blamed for everything. Well, I was when I was younger, so that habit's still coming out of my system. But so I'm so passionate about this because I don't want to see people struggling and stressed and everything like that. We've already seen enough with the pandemic. And that's why I need to, I'm saying this in general. If I was talking to one person and I knew they were a bit soft, I'd keep it on a low and say it calmly to them. But because I'm in this mode, me and you have been going on this podcast for a while now. With various people. I mean, various people are going to watch this. I know I can come at it the way I want to come at it. Look at E.T. E.T. shouts in his speeches and that hits people.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. When you're in debt and you've got a kid and you want to give your kids the best life, you're gonna regret how you spent your money in your first few years in uni.
Yeah, man. Co-sign that.
Yeah. And final segment, and it's gonna be, this is mad. I'm saying this for the first time in ages. The last question, the final segment, Michael, is what are your top 3 rules for success?
Yeah, I mean, I could go about this many different ways, but yeah, I'll go with my usual one. So I say understand, reach, expand all the time at the end of all of my videos. Came up with that when I was like 19, I think. So understand means understand yourself and other people, because that's how you get influence. Reach is effectively learn how to be strategic and develop plans, because if you don't know how to get to where you're getting to, even if it's the first step, how do you expect to get there? You don't say, I want to go to Scotland, but not type it into your GPS. Doesn't make sense. So know how you can get to places. And expand basically means once you've got to that level where you're achieving things, learn to network like crazy, learn to always raise the bar, and always find ways to create leverage and automation, because when you can get to that level, then you're just at a different peak. You're just at a different peak altogether. So yeah, understand, reach, and expand.
Cool, amazing. That's obviously I've heard it before, but I didn't think you'd use it for this. But now I was like, okay, he's a good, very smart for that. He's very smart for that. And is that the name of one of your books as well? Yeah.
So understand, reach, expand. 15 super effective ways to manage your mind.
Yeah, everyone, make sure you buy that. Honestly, make sure you buy it. I read one of this guy's books about desire. He gave it to me for free. Thank you. And
it's all right.
I need to buy his other books, the ones about goals, obviously understand, reach, expand. He's got a ton. So ensure that you buy his books. Like, don't just buy all these famous big books that you see, because I've noticed myself that it's the books that aren't spoken about the most that actually have the most impact on me, just like your book. So I've got to say, big the work you're doing. Have you got any more up the pipeline as well?
I mean, for now, I'm going to just calm it down a little bit. You know, right now is project leverage, project automation, project how can I help more people? So I'm slowing that side, a bit down. And then when I'm sort of like ready and I think it's right, then I'm gonna go for it. Because you know me, I'm a busy guy. Busy guy. So it's about priorities right now.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And the fact that you're a busy guy and you came on here, Michael, I gotta say, big thank you to you. Big up to all that you're doing. Everyone, make sure you follow him on social media because I get tons of gems from this guy. If you like, there's a Jay-Z. I'm gonna bring up Jay-Z again. Jay-Z lyric. 9 to 5 is how to survive. I ain't trying to survive. I'm trying to live it to the limit and love it a lot. If you want to live life to the limit and love it a lot, you got to follow people that are promoting things that are gonna transform your mind. Michael's got that. So please make sure you follow him and make sure you share that as well, and share it with your family as well, because some of them need it as well, just like some people in my family need it too. So Mike, is there anything you'd like to say before we end this episode?
No, man. I mean, all I want to say is thank you very much for bringing me onto the show. Continue doing what you're doing. You're definitely going to get to where you need to get to, and just remember, stick to that intelligent consistency. For those who are listening, I mean, it always comes down to committing to a cause. Commitments, that discipline, that cause is what's your heart's desire and passion. So when you align the two, productivity is easy. Do you know what I mean? If you want to find out more about me, you can check out michaeltabirade.com. I've also got a link where you can see everything I'm doing. So that's shore.b, so shor.by/Michael Tabirade. So you can check that out. And that's all of my sort of links, YouTube channels, coaching if you're interested, etc., etc. That's it, really.
Amazing, guys. Make sure you follow that. Make sure you share this podcast with people that you know. And guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Let's Talk Facts podcast.